Hi everyone, my name is Juan. I am just one reader, and today I am filming the books that I really want to get to in the year of 2016. 2015 was an incredibly productive reading year for me. It was absolutely great. However, I cannot help but feel that in 2015 I decided to read as many books as I could, but maybe I wasn't choosing the best quality books, although I did read most of the books that I read were fantastic. But I feel like sometimes I picked some books because they were short or because I knew they were going to be light and they were going to help me achieve my Goodreads goal, to be honest. And I didn't read some books that I really wanted to read that are quite heavy and yeah, potentially more complex and complicated, but also much more fulfilling and satisfying. So, one of my resolutions, I guess, for 2016 is to read maybe not as many books as possible. So that's why instead of 80 or 90 books, I decided to set my Goodreads goal at 60 books because I think that's a reasonable amount and it would give me a lot of room to read big great reads that have literary amazingness and still read a pretty amazing quantity of books. So I narrowed it down to 20 books. These are the 20 books that I really, really, really want to read, like my absolute priorities for 2016. Like if I read nothing else, that's fine, but I have to read this 20. Of course, they are in no particular order. Most of them, I do own them, but since I am moving right now, they're all in boxes, they're packed. So I can show them to you. I will try to put a picture so you can see the covers, which are quite beautiful. The first book I want to read is actually a book that I have already read, and it is Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. Now, Neverwhere is, well, I claim it to be one of my absolute favorite books in the world. However, I have only read it once, and that must have been about 7 or 8 years ago. So honestly, I don't remember much of it. So I really want to read that because I know it's just Neil Gaiman at his best, and I love just how dark and gritty and funny and whimsical it was, and I need to reread that. Next on my list is another book by Neil Gaiman, and it's Trigger Warning. Trigger Warning is a collection of short stories, and everyone has given it great reviews, and there's a pretty good opinion overall of these stories. And I love Neil Gaiman in a short story format. I think he is absolutely genius. So I cannot wait to pick this one up. And what I love about this collection is that it's actually an adult short story collection, which is different. The next book I really want to read in 2016 is the collected works or the collected short stories of Edgar Allan Poe. I have this beautiful edition, just a huge bind up of all his short stories. And somehow I have never read it. I have read like maybe 5 or 6 stories, but this year I would really love to read maybe one story every weekend or so that I could eventually end up reading all of it. The next one is the complete works of Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes. I already ordered this from Amazon and I know it's going to be great. It's the new annotated version by Leslie Klinger. He is a great scholar and he went into a lot of trouble and just annotated this entire version. So it's supposed to be a real jewel. And I decided to read Sherlock Holmes this year basically because I've been obsessed with the BBC series Sherlock. It's wonderful, and I'm really feeling like this is the year in which I finally read Sherlock Holmes. It seems like such a great series of short stories and novels. If you didn't know, Sherlock Holmes includes, I think, 4 novels, 4 full-length novels, and 56 short stories. And I just cannot wait to fall in love with these characters. The next book that I have is the Lifeship Traders trilogy by Robin Hobb. This year I'm I want to read fantasy, but I always feel like fantasy is a hard genre to get into because it can be really badly done or it can be amazing. And I've heard the most amazing things about the Life Ship Traders trilogy by Robin Hobb. This is actually the first book in the trilogy, Ship of Magic, and I am currently reading it right now. And honestly, I am so glad I finally picked it up, and we'll see how it goes. The next series of books that I want to read is also a fantasy trilogy, and it is the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. This is a trilogy that I am shocked to say I have never picked up. I finally got my own box set, but I still haven't read them, and I've owned them for more than 6 months, so I need to rectify that. The next book I want to read in 2016 is Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. I don't really know much about this book. I know that it's like a weird dystopian sci-fi literary fiction kind of genre bending thing. I've heard great things about it, and I really trust the people that love it. And I know there's a movie, but I've never seen it. I have no idea what it's about. So, and also I think it's a great book to go into not knowing anything. So, yeah. The next one is also a book that I know surprisingly little about, and it's We're All Completely Beside Ourselves by Karen Joy Fowler. I literally know very little about this book. I just know that it's about like family and secrets, and there's this whole family drama involved, and it seems like it's going to be a great one for me. Then we have Station 11 by Ellen, what's her name? Evelyn St. John Mandel, I believe. Station 11 is a book that I cannot believe I haven't yet read. I think you know what it's about, so I'm not gonna say that again. I really want to read it this year. The next one is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. I think the author of this is Betty Smith. I might be mistaken. So A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, I think, tells a story about this woman who grows up in Brooklyn, and I know literally nothing else except that she is a wonderful character and that the writing is great, and it is a really, really well loved book. The next book is The Blue Girl by Laurie Foos. The thing with this book is that it is a sort of magical realism novel, and it's about this women who feed some sort of pies, I think, to this blue girl, and they feed her their secrets through these pies. And honestly, I don't know much else about this, but many people that I trust and value, whose opinions I value, have absolutely adored this book. So I have to read it. I downloaded it on my Kindle, and so I cannot wait to pick it up. The next one is Infinite Home by Kathleen Alcott. This is a beautiful book. I mean, it has the most amazing cover. And I know absolutely nothing about Infinite Home except that it's about some sort of building, and I think it's in New York or Brooklyn, and it follows, I think, the lives of the people who live there. I don't know. The next book I would love to read is one of those books that I think it's going to be a great big project because it's a huge book, and it's like a very, well, it seems to me like a very dense literary, almost historical kind of fiction book, and it's The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton. This book is surprisingly long, but people seem to read it quite quickly, so I'm not really sure what to feel about this book. I'm kind of intimidated by it, to be honest, but I think it's the time to read it. The next book is The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender by Leslie Walton. This is another novel filled with magical realism and family drama, so I cannot miss that. Also, it has a spectacular cover, right? Next is The Enchanted by Renee Denfeld, another novel with magical realism elements in it. This is supposed to be an amazing piece of literature. Everyone seems to love it. Everyone seems to go absolutely crazy about it. So I have to read it. Next is Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. And this book is another family drama type of literary fiction novel. Then we have The Bone Clocks by David Mitchell. Now, I tried this year to read Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell, and I did actually finish it, but I did not like it at all. I thought it was a very complicated, kind of too elaborate novel. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. It was very dry and very long and very boring, and most of it felt, I guess, unnecessary for me. So, I've heard that the Bone Clocks is a much better place to start um, with David Mitchell. Then I have The First 15 Lives of Harry August. This is by Claire North. And this is a young adult book that follows a man called Harry August who lives his life over and over and over again with his memory of his past life, I believe. And one day when he is dying, someone tells him that the world is about to end, and so he has to go and fix that. Um, then we have two more. The Book of Strange New Things by Michelle Faber. This book has gotten so much praise and just such high, great reviews that I cannot not read it. Like, I have to read this novel, even if I die. I have to read it. Also, Michelle Faber has another novel that I'm really interested in, but I didn't include it in this video because it isn't my top priority, but it is one of my priorities, and it is The Crimson Petal and the White, which is more of a historical fiction type of book. And the last book that I would absolutely love and actually need to read in 2016 is The Dove House by John Burnside, another book that has received so much attention on BookTube this past 2015, and I really, really, really feel that I have to read this book. It's one of those books that you hear about them and you hear people like giving their opinion about it, and you read the blurb and you're like, how come I never knew this book even existed, and how is it that I haven't read it yet? So I really need to rectify that. Oh yeah, that's it, guys. Those are the 20 books that are my absolute top priorities for 2016. I'm feeling very confident with the selection that I've made. I think it's a difficult decision, always it is, to choose the books that you're going to read, because you always have to sacrifice one or two or 100, but you know, such is life. So thank you very much for watching. I will see you on my next video with my January wrap.